There are 6 MOTOCOASTERs around the world. How would you rank them? It's time for the first ever Theme Park Ogre Q&A video. I got quite a lot of questions, so let's get to it. Liam P says, "Hey Ogre, huge fan of the channel. What's your favourite themed area at any park in the world?" And AFK Music also has a similar question. What's your favourite theme park area, AU and globally? Well, for Australia, it's definitely Rivertown. I think Dreamworld did a fantastic job, and I hope it sets a good standard for future lands at all of our parks. Worldwide, from what I've personally been to, it's probably any of the lands at Tokyo Disney Sea. The park is insane, it's like bonkers in the best way imaginable, and it's definitely the most immersive park I've ever been to. I'd say my personal favourite land there is the American waterfront. It has a cruise ship and a Tower of Terror, need I say more? Next we have The Real Generic Smile. I have 2 questions. What got you into YouTube and theme parks, and would you ever do a face reveal? Well, what got me into YouTube and theme parks? Well, I've always loved both. I originally started out on YouTube making gaming videos, which you can see on my other channel, Ogre Joe. But around 2017 I discovered Theme Park Worldwide, who's a pretty big theme park vlogger from the UK, and he visits the world, visiting lots of different theme parks, you know, that type of thing. His thorough, fun and enthusiastic videos really inspired me. It got me much more into theme parks myself than I had been previously. You know, I was more of a Disney/Gold Coast guy before, but Theme Park Worldwide really showed me what else was out there. I quickly wanted to make my own theme park videos after that, and here we are today. This may sound a bit extreme, but discovering his channel really changed my life for the better. It's interesting how certain things like that can have such a large effect, isn't it? Thank you, TPW. And as for your second question, a few other people have wondered about my face, like Randall, Harry Funk, and Alani Plays. I personally find it a bit confusing why so many people want to see my face, because it's right here. See this handsome green guy? That's me. Seriously though. I like my anonymity. I like being part of the crowd, and being the reason the crowd forms, you know? It's also the artistic style and how I create my videos. Most theme park vlogs and updates out there have a person on screen, but I just wanted to do something different and keep the focus entirely on the parks themselves, without my face or voice intruding. This is how a lot of vlogs and videos are done in Asia, and it's a style I personally prefer. I remember watching, I think, I Will Always Travel for Food. He was at a Dutch theme park in Japan, and I remember lying down on the floor like a weirdo while watching the video, which was actually shortly after I originally hurt my back. And I remember thinking to myself, there's no theme park exclusive channels out there like this, why don't I make it myself? And when I finally got out of the house, I made my first ever vlog in that style at Movie World, and here we are. I'm glad the style was enjoyed by so many people. So yes, showing my human face is not the plan right now, but never say never. And trust me, you're not missing much. Next we have Harry Funk's other question. Did you ever ride Eureka Mountain Mine Ride at Dreamworld? I did actually. I remember finding it extremely claustrophobic in there, but I remember enjoying it. I didn't, like ride it each visit to Dreamworld. It was like a once every few visits type of thing. This was partially because I wasn't massive on roller coasters back then. It often had a huge queue. But it's definitely very nostalgic to me, and I do miss it. I think a spiritual successor to it in some form would be awesome, like maybe an indoor wild mouse or a Gerstlower bobsled or something like that. Could be Dreamworld's answer to Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster, Lots of theming opportunities out there. I think maybe a ride themed to like pirates or something would be good. Pirate rides out there are, like boat rides, but imagine having like an indoor coaster, that would be awesome. Next we have AFK Music's other questions. See, we see your face, answered that. What would you like the main 3 Queensland parks to add next? That's a good question. I think Movie World should maybe add another dark ride. The park used to have so many fantastic rides, like the Looney Tunes River Ride and the Gremlins, but it needs something else like that, like something big, high budget, high capacity. Justice League is okay, but it's not big and it's not good for capacity, is it? For Dreamworld, again, I think a dark ride of some kind, especially because they don't have any. Imagine if they did something with the theming quality of Jungle Rush's queue, that would be awesome. Either that or another water ride. I know it's a touchy subject, so I'd understand they want to be careful, so maybe like a water coaster or something like that would be a good compromise. The Mac Power Splashes look awesome, and I think something like that would be perfect for Dreamworld. And for SeaWorld again, I think another dark ride. But they could also use another high-thrill roller coaster, as they don't really have one now, do they? Maybe like that surfing coaster from B&M, I think that would be pretty good. Next, my favourite roller coaster both in Australia and globally. Well, apart from Motocoaster, my favourite Aussie coaster is definitely DC Rivals. Absolutely love it. But my top roller coaster is one I'm sure will surprise many. It's actually Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland Paris. I used to ride this a lot back when I was a kid, and to this day it holds a very special place in my heart. It was one of my first coasters, and it's just a genuinely fantastic ride with some fun elements, awesome theming, and a really long ride length, which is something I value highly in coasters. I haven't ridden it in over 15 years, so this is mostly a nostalgic choice. I really can't wait to go to Disneyland Paris to ride it again. I'm interested to see how well it will do on my coaster rankings after riding it. Hopefully one day. Next, do you think a Disney and/or Universal park in Australia would fit in Australia? If so, where would it go? I'd love to see this. While Australia is massive, in terms of population I don't know if it could sustain a properly sized Disney or Universal. I think a smaller one could work though, and I think Melbourne would be a good location for it. This is something my group talked about a lot on our recent Melbourne trip. We thought that west of Melbourne in the Werribee area might be a good choice. Seemed pretty big and flat, and pretty close to the main city. Hopefully we see something like that someday. Favourite theme park area? Answered that before. Outside of theme parks, what else do you like to do? What are you interested in? Well, outside of parks, I love travelling, I love food, I'm a big foodie. I enjoy business in general, dipping my toes into multiple ways of earning money. I find it fun. I'm also pretty big into video games and some pop culture stuff like anime, Star Wars, Pokemon, that type of thing. I also love animals, but due to my love of travelling, it's hard for me to keep pets, but I do have an aquarium at home with a few fish. I like going to pet shops and buying those feeder fish, those cheap fish that are sold as live food for bigger fish. I like buying them and giving them a home that's not a bigger fish's stomach. Toby Co asks, rank every coaster at Movie World. I'd have to think about that to give you a proper answer, but from the top of my head, I'd say DC Rivals, Scooby-Doo, Superman Escape, Green Lantern, Wicked Witch, Kansas Twister, and Roadrunner. I haven't done Flash yet, but once I do, I think, like a top Movie World coaster video would be a pretty fun Ogre Talkies video to make. Rollway Films Official says, do you miss Wiggles World / ABC Kids World? Because I do miss it deeply. It was my favourite area of the park. To be honest, not too much. The land back in its prime was pretty fun. Big Red Car was certainly an entertaining ride, but overall, I think the land was kind of dull. I don't think it really fit in well with the Australian nature surrounding it. I do understand why a lot of people miss it, and I do sympathise, but overall I love Rivertown, and I think it to be the superior land in almost every way. Now we have two similar questions here from Mr. YumYum and Q-Dude. What non-Australian, non-Disney parks are on my bucket list? Well, my bucket list is absolutely massive. There's so many parks out there worldwide I want to check out. The top ones are definitely in Europe though. Like Europa Park looks amazing. It's pretty much the perfect package park, isn't it? There's also the Efteling. I love the amount of dark rides there. And of course Phantasialand. The theming here looks fantastic, and Taran and Fly have both been high on my coaster bucket list for years. Energylandia in Poland also really stands out to me. It has a ton of coasters, and Zadra is probably the #1 coaster on my bucket list. I know there's a lot of RMCs out there. I haven't done any, but there's just something about Zadra that I really find intriguing. Hey Menix, this is a pretty long post from him, so I'll paraphrase if that's okay to keep up with the pacing. They're basically asking if I think Movie World should be more like a classic movie-style park, similar to other parks around the world. I definitely agree with that. The park does feel different now. It basically feels like an amusement park in the skin of an old movie theme park, if that makes sense. I don't really like that. Sure, the park should have some awesome thrill rides, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't forsake the immersive movie atmosphere and lineup of awesomely themed rides that it used to be well known for. I do agree that having a ride similar to the Great Movie Ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios would be awesome. And yeah, I really miss the Looney Tunes River Ride, seeing the old building just sitting there being used for storage and a kiddie driving school is awful. I'd also love to see something like Van Helsing's Factory, which looks so fun. It's definitely my kind of ride. And yes, Movie World does have way too many hero attractions. Wizard of Ozland is a good first step past that, even if the result is pretty mid, as today's kids say. I'm probably going to butcher your name, so apologies for that, but Rodali. Sorry, I can't read. What's your excitement level for Shrek 5 at? I'm pretty excited. I'm a big fan of Shrek. You know, I first saw the original back in the cinema back in 2001, so I've been a fan since it started pretty much. But after the awful Shrek the Third and the subpar Shrek 4, I am a bit worried they won't be able to capture the magic. I'm keeping my expectations relatively low, but of course I'm hoping it turns out to be awesome. What are your thoughts on the rumours regarding the film? From the plot involving them apparently going into the real world. Yeah, I've heard about that. It sounds pretty bad, to be honest, on paper, but, you know, of course it depends on how the writing turns out and how it's portrayed. It could actually be pretty good if they do it properly. Here's hoping it's a fun, solid story and not some weird meme bait film. And what do I think about the supposed return of Lord Farquaad? Yeah, I love Lord Farquaad, but his story arc was kind of complete, you know. Not to mention we already got a good epilogue for him in Shrek 4. I'd rather see a brand new villain instead. That was one of the problems with Shrek 3, it was pretty repetitive just having Prince Charming again. Jake Biscoff says, will you be doing any videos on the return of Big Brother to Dreamworld? I actually don't really know enough about the show, to be honest, to make any dedicated videos on it, but I'll definitely follow the show, starting from its construction to during its production. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll probably check out the first episode to see how I feel about it. Either way, it's going to be fun to cover a new type of content at the park. Next, Braden and AD Pie are asking me about Aussie World and if I'd ever visit there again. Yeah, I like Aussie World. I've only been twice. The first time I thought it was pretty average, but the second time I enjoyed it a heck of a lot more. I'm not sure exactly what changed. Was it the staff? Was it the landscaping? Was it the weather? Was it the fact we were seeing the Wiggles do a rave? I'm not sure. But yeah, I do need to visit it more, and I'd love to give it a proper day's visit, as I haven't for years. I still haven't been on all of the rides there, so I'll try to get there sooner than later. Next, for the rest of AD Pie's questions. Do you think that Wizard of Oz Land is a worthy replacement to Arkham Asylum? I'd say ultimately yes. Arkham's theming certainly wasn't the best, and the coaster model itself was kind of meh, so I do think trading in that for 3 solid and smooth Vekoma family coasters was a good move overall. But you know my thoughts on Wizard of Oz Land, it's not very good. So they sadly replaced average with slightly average instead of the promised world class. What annual pass is more worth the money in your opinion? That's a hard one. Both give pretty good value. With the village one you get the 2 theme parks, you get the water park and Paradise Country, where Dreamworld it's just Dreamworld and, oh yeah, Sky Point. I'd say the village one is slightly better value, but Dreamworld's is also high up there, especially if you get it during one of their frequent sales. Plus you get 10% off everything at the park at Dreamworld with the pass there, whereas at the village park you're stuck paying full price, which really sucks. Was the DC Supervillains Land ever good in your opinion? Yeah, definitely. I sadly never visited it in its prime, but by looking at videos it certainly looked great from a theming perspective. I'm not a fan of the interactivity stuff though, you know, like with those weird Connect minigames. It looked pretty clunky and bad, but theming wise it was top. And of course Doomsday Destroyer was an instant flop. Next, there are 6 MOTOCOASTERS around the world. How would you rank them? Ooh, I like MOTOCOASTER questions. Okay, let's think. I'd say Dreamworld is number 1 as it's the ultimate OG. Number 2 goes to Foreigner Street as the bikes look funny. Number 3 goes to Penglai Europark as it's nice and orange. Number 4 goes to Jinjiang Action Park as it has a weird apartment background which kind of freaks me out. Next is Six Flags Darien Lake, which looks like it was made from a dead elephant. And finally Max Wonder Park as it's SBMO. Oh dear. Clearly their MOTOCOASTER is just biding its time for an epic return. Next we have Chili Dog. Hello Ogre. Hello. I have to ask, when is the best time in the year to visit the theme parks in the Gold Coast? And do you go to the parks every day? Because there is some dedication to help provide your biggest fans. Oh, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to provide updates for you all. Now, I don't visit the parks every day. I wish I could. On average, it's probably once a week, sometimes twice if I get enough free time. And as for the best time of year to visit, kind of tough. Being 365 parks, or was it like 362, we frequently see rides closed for annual maintenance, so if you want to visit when all the rides are operating, definitely come during the holidays, you know, like summer, Easter, September, you know, that time of year. Problem is the parks will be packed then, so if you don't mind missing out on some rides, good times may be like March or June from the top of my head. I'm not really the best at this type of thing, so if anyone in the comments has any advice, please leave it. Next we have Jordan, not a whale. Oh, hello. Do you know Shrek? I wish I knew Shrek. He's hard to contact, even amongst us ogres. But one day I hope he notices me. I caught a glimpse of him at Universal Japan last year, but sadly he ignored me in my group. That's a true story. Next, if you could, would you marry Motocoaster? Oh, definitely, 100%. I often lay awake at night imagining the wedding ceremony. It keeps me up. I think of it a lot. It goes kind of like this. Thoughts on the Mimic? I'm not sure exactly what you mean here. When I hear Mimic, I think of these, treasure box guys from D&D, Dragon Quest, Dark Souls, etc. Always be careful around treasure chests, as you never know when they'll bite you. How many times have you ridden Motocoaster? Well, to also answer your question about the smileys, think that, but double it. Then triple it, times that by a few 100,000 million, and you may be close to 1% of the rides I've had on Motocoaster this year alone. Lakey Boy and Gaming with Nicholas ask what my connection is with Mr. YumYum. I don't want to go into specifics, but we are related, and we're close friends and love hanging out and visiting the parks together. We also both help out and inspire each other with our own channels in different ways, and that's also fun too. And yeah, if you haven't yet, please check out Mr. YumYum's channel. He does some fantastic and well-edited theme park content that's completely different to mine. I highly recommend it. Gaming with Nicholas also asks, my top 5 coasters that I have been on, and how many coasters have you been on? My top 5, my list is always changing, but at the moment, from the top of my head, I'd say it's Big Thunder Mountain in Paris, DC Rivals, Hollywood Dream at Universal Japan, Space Mountain at Hong Kong Disneyland, and Jungle Rush. And my current credit count is a measly 54. Next, how did you come up with the name Theme Park Ogre /Ogre Magic? Yeah, this is a good question, and it actually has an interesting backstory. Back in the late 2010s, I was huge into the video game Overwatch, which was a fun team-based FPS from Blizzard. In Blizzard's other game, World of Warcraft, which I also loved, they added a jokey parody boss battle based on the Overwatch characters, but they were called Ogre Watch. This for some reason instantly stuck with me, and me and my friend at the time called Overwatch Ogre as a kind of in-joke. I then went on to make a new Overwatch gaming YouTube channel and I called it Ogre Joe. And Ogre quickly became my brand. Ogre Magic was more of a placeholder name, as I couldn't think of a proper theme park related name, but I thought it kind of fit, like with Disney Magic. I'm happy I did eventually make the switch to Theme Park Ogre, and the rest is history. And yeah, also I just love ogres anyway. Why is Motocoaster so incredible? Oh, I could go on for days about that. Well, it has the best trains in the business, the best theming, the best layout, the best launch, the best location. Whoever thought of placing a MotoGP themed ride in the Australian bush was a genius. Sponge Wahoo asks, so who did win the Good Citizens Award at Movie World anyway? Yeah, this is one of Movie World's biggest mysteries. It wouldn't surprise me if it was Bruce Wayne, as he's kind of charitable, isn't he? But I guess we'll never know thanks to Joker. Darn you! Next we have Tommy Boy. Can't help but rattle off a few questions. If you could change or add one thing about Dreamworld, what would it be? I'd probably get the west side of the park fixed up, remove the Blue Lagoon and add something of Rivertown's quality there. Either that or retheme the back of Ocean Parade, as it looks awful. Same question for Movie World. For Movie World, I'd change the whole vibe of the park, being like a weird Six Flags, to how it used to be when it was a classic movie themed park. What's one closed / removed Gold Coast ride or attraction you'd like reopened / rebuilt? That's pretty easy actually. I'd say either Looney Tunes River Ride or Bermuda Triangle. Both were such fantastic world-class rides, it's hard to pick one. Bermuda Triangle was probably the better ride, but it actually still scares me, so I'll have to go with Looney Tunes River Ride. Next we have OG Straws, who's been a long-time fan of the channel. Hey, thank you for your support as always. Did you prefer Tower of Terror when it faced forwards, or when it got revamped to go backwards as Tower of Terror 2? I don't remember forwards tot too much, but even so, I'd say I preferred it to going backwards. You know, the launch and travelling so fast across the track, seeing the tower come up to you and going up it, seeing the sky, the wind in your face, you know, it all added up to be such a memorable and fun experience. I really miss it. Backwards was fun too, but, you know, I just think going forwards was the more classic ride, and it was the intended version originally. Next, what theme park on the Gold Coast has the best staff/customer service in your opinion? Definitely Dreamworld. Of course it's not perfect, but for the most part they've been fantastic. You know, they're happy to help, and getting greeted as if you're an old friend at the entrance is such an awesome feeling, and it really makes you feel welcome. At Movie World and SeaWorld, while you sometimes get staff like that, overall it's much less, at least in my experience. I've seen tons of dour faces, you know, people who clearly don't want to be there. Staff members at the entrance have even completely blanked me, which felt awful. I will say though, in the last few months, the service at Movie World has noticeably improved. I've seen a lot more friendly faces, and I've said a few times, did they come from Dreamworld? I'm not sure exactly what happened behind the scenes, but I'm really thankful it did. The Movie World staff were also nice and understanding during that awful day I had earlier this year, where I basically got harassed by other guests, and I'll always be thankful for their help. Next we have Jacob Simon. How would you rank all of the theme parks you visited from best to worst? And what are your top 5 rides you've been on? Ooh, that's a good one. It's probably a bit too hard to list each park, but in general, the best are definitely the Disney parks. Across my life, I've been pretty lucky to visit almost all of them, and my favourite would definitely be Disneyland Paris. Keep in mind I haven't visited many non-Disney or Gold Coast parks, which may sound weird as a hardcore theme park fan, but it's just the way my life has played out so far. I look forward to visiting more. Now, top 5 rides. Again, I'd have to sit down and think to give you a proper answer, but from the top of my head, Motocoaster, Big Thunder Mountain at Disney Paris, Indiana Jones at Tokyo Disney Sea, Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris, It's a Small World at Disneyland Paris, and DC Rivals. Next we have Barrios Trotius, I think I said that right. Would you go to America for the theme parks anytime soon? Not trying to bring up politics. I love to go to America. There's so many parks out there, it's crazy. You know, there's like Cedar Point, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry Farm, Busch Gardens, and of course the Disney and Universal parks. I was originally planning to visit Florida later this year to check out Epic Universe, but that's kind of fallen apart due to some personal reasons, and you know, it's just too expensive. I need to save up. Hopefully one day though. I'd love to come over there and have a look around. Next we have Carly Glambert. Which is your favourite theme park of all time? At the moment it's Disneyland Paris. It pretty much used to be my home park back in the day, but as I mentioned earlier, I haven't visited in ages, so this is mostly a nostalgic rank, but from watching videos of it nowadays, it still looks fantastic. Top 5 favourite rides at Dreamworld and Movie World. From the top of my head, at Dreamworld it would be Jungle Rush, Still Taipan, Sky Voyager, Gold Coaster, and Murasippi Motors. And at Movie World, it's probably the same as my roller coaster answer, which you can see earlier in the video. I really wish they had a better selection of other rides. What do you think about Big Brother coming back? I think it's an interesting move. As I said earlier, I don't really know much about the show itself, but I think it can mean only good things for Dreamworld, as I'm guessing they're going to get paid decently to host it, and it's pretty much effectively free advertising, isn't it? I'm interested to see how the park will, advertise it. Their social media team has been doing a great job lately, so we'll probably see a lot of synergy. I'm interested in seeing how it will all play out, and I hope it does well for the park. Anyhow, that's it. This was quite fun to make, and I'd like to make another video like this someday. Stay tuned to my community post section and my social media for whenever this happens. I really appreciate you all, and I hope this video helped you to get to know me better. Thank you so much for watching. A big thank you to my YouTube members, the Ogre Bros and the Ogre Sisters, for your kind support. It really helps a lot, and I really appreciate it. A big thank you to Straws, SW-Stevie1, Artie Husky, Matt Jonas, Anti-Furry, TV, Reese is a Bomb, Tristan, Randall, Movies Like Everyone, I Liam's Law, Jack W, Kerry Jekyll, Koala75, Mr. YumYum, Ches FS, Audrey Allen, Johnny Boy 175, Craig Head, Ashton, Senpai's JP Blue Dog, Skiddy Townos, Jacqueline Bees, Senpai's JP Red Dog, Gaming with Nicholas, and Monkey in a Tree! Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you for watching. Please consider watching another of my videos. I'll be sure to see you there. Have a great rest of your day. Ogre and out!
My name's Mr. YumYum. I'm here as a triangle. My job is to jump around and look at theme park videos. I am Mr. YumYum. I am not Theme Park Ogre. That was all a mistake, all a lie. I am Mr. YumYum. A big thank you to Theme Park Ogre for your support.